So, executive functioning versus executive dysfunction. Well, thank you guys. I just saw the message. I appreciate that. Thank you. Executive function is our brain's manager skills. It's deciding what matters, how we start a task, staying with the task, when we're switching between different tasks, how we remember steps, and also regulating our emotions while we're doing all the things. So, what many of us experience, especially with our neurodivergence, is executive dysfunction. And that's when all those things that for a neurotypical person are just common behaviors, they don't have to think about it. It's like, yeah, I'm going to start this, stop this, complete this, and it's no fuss. But when we experience, excuse me, when we experience executive dysfunction, that means those manager skills, they're inconsistent or they're completely offline. So the desire is there. Like we want to get the things done. We know exactly what we have to do. We even have a plan for how it gets done, but our access to getting that task done is often blocked or overloaded. And we can often be hard on ourselves when that happens. So the biggest difference between executive functioning and executive dysfunction is capacity of our brain and access within that moment. And our executive functioning can change literally from hour to hour, moment to moment, how tired we are, if we're hungry, if we're thirsty, like anything that's going on from stress, burnout, sensory overload. It might change, like if you feel like you can't be productive if it's too light or if it's too dark or if it's too noisy. Those things impact our executive functioning, anxiety, depression, hormones. We might notice when we're on our cycle or different times of the month, we may have different abilities when it comes to our executive functioning. Or maybe decision fatigue. We might have too many different things that we have to do to the point where we literally do nothing. An example would be starting a task. So with executive function, it's like, I don't want to do this, but I can still do it. I could begin and finish this task. When it comes to executive dysfunction, we're staring at the task. We might end up scrolling on Facebook or Instagram. I'll be the first to say I spend a lot of time on social media. Now it makes sense because obviously the group I'm engaging. So for me, it's like, okay, but this is a productive thing. This is something that I enjoy, that I'm enjoying this. So, oh, is someone's hand up? Oh, yeah. And then with executive dysfunction, we're looking at the task and we're not necessarily locked in on the task and we get frozen. And there is a direct relationship between the time we have and how we plan. So with executive functioning and time, they can estimate the time, plan it, and everything will go according to plan. So then with executive dysfunction, the time is disappearing, we panic, and suddenly it's last minute and we may not have gotten the thing done. So the way that I see the question, the way that this differs from procrastination is that procrastination is on purpose. Like you have to do something. It's like, I'll just do it later. And you're actively like you're completely capable of doing this thing right now, but you actively decide I'm just going to do it later. Whereas executive functioning is dysfunction is you literally want to do it right now. Like every part of your being want to do it right this moment, but you literally just can't. You don't have the spoons to do it. Like your brain is feeling guilty about it. With procrastination, you may not feel guilty because you're like, okay, I'm gonna just do it tomorrow. Like, it doesn't matter if I do it now or later, and you could go on about your day. But with executive dysfunction, like, you're literally feeling bad about it. Like, you want to do it and you just don't have the ability, but you're thinking about it the whole time. So if it's haunting you and you're thinking about the thing that you're not doing the entire time you're not doing it, that's not regular procrastination. That's a dysfunction. If it's causing issues about you not doing it. Does that answer your question? Yeah. So when it comes to planning someone with executive functioning skills, it's okay. breaking a big task into steps. And it's like, I'm gonna plan this. I'm gonna do this part today. I'll do this part tomorrow, and I'll do this part on Thursday. Whereas with executive dysfunction, the task becomes one giant impossible mess, and we keep putting it off even though we want to do it. And then instead of being able to do like this on Monday, this on Tuesday, this on Wednesday, we might end up doing the whole exact thing on Thursday. And um I would say the biggest thing that typically people relate to is in school. When we're in school, if you procrastinated on assignments, it was probably executive dysfunction because you have a large essay due the entire semester. You know what you have to write on. You might even have an outline, but you don't even do it until maybe a day or two before it's due. But then you end up doing well on it, or at least enough to pass. So then the cycle repeats itself. But it's extremely stressful. So that's more so where the executive dysfunction comes in compared to just like, oh, I'll do it later. It's no big deal. It's the guilt and the beating ourselves up and the heaviness of not getting something done. So when it comes to our working memory, executive functioning looks like holding the steps long enough to finish. Boom. Like we remember everything that has to get done in whatever order. Don't even have to think about it again. Boom. With executive dysfunction, you probably forget. You don't even know why you came in the room. You don't know where you put your phone. You don't remember to eat. You probably forgot to drink your water. I ain't even opened this yet. I probably need a sip. So let me do that. All right. I don't know when I became bougie and like stopped liking tap water because I feel like I used to drink tap water growing up. But I ran out of waters and I just did not drink water for like 2 days because I don't know. But I just couldn't do the tap thing. And I was like, well, what if I just boil it? And I could literally go to the store. The store is down the street. Anyways, I digress. So yeah, executive dysfunction, like we forget um what the purpose was even. So when it comes to emotions with executive functioning, you could be super frustrated, woosah, and boom, right back grounded, right back centered. Whereas with executive dysfunction, one setback turns into a spiral, into a shutdown, shut the whole operation down. We ain't doing none of this, like complete meltdown. So that's one of the big differences is emotional regulation. So how can we overcome this? And someone commented and was like, well, that's a huge promise right there. And I guess I would say that because there's so many tools. Just because we struggle with executive dysfunction does not mean that we permanently have to struggle or we have to deal with the struggles of executive dysfunction. There's a lot of tools we can use, and also just remembering to give ourselves grace because the more we are aware of these things, the more we're like, oh, this is task paralysis. Let me actually break this down. Oh, I don't have the spoons for something. Let me do what I do have energy for. And we learn that our schedule may not look like a linear breakdown of 1 o'clock, I'm doing this, 2 o'clock, I'm doing this, and these are all the things I'm doing today. Our schedule might look like, okay, on Monday, I have all the spoons. I might get 7 tasks done. On Tuesday, I have nothing and I might not do anything, and that's okay. On Wednesday, I still might not have anything that I have the capacity of doing. Thursday, boom, rock star, get everything that was remaining on the list completed. Whereas someone with executive function and they might split that out evenly throughout the week and it's not a big deal. But when you realize that maybe you're doing 3 times the work on a Thursday, but you're locked in, then that's completely fine because you're still getting it done. You don't have to beat yourself up over Tuesday and Wednesday. Let me see, catching up. I'm a morning thinker and afternoon doer. See, I'm a afternoon thinker and I'm a late night doer. And then I'm also motivated by deadlines. So a way that we can overcome this, it is not about becoming perfect or perfectly disciplined. It's about learning how our brain works, how each individual brain works, because what works for me may not work for you. So this is how your brain starts things, hold things, switches things, and then regulates emotions long enough to finish things. So another thing is we have to build support around what works for us. We're not relying on willpower and we're not shaming ourselves into getting the things done because that's not effective. We're just causing ourselves more grief by beating ourselves up for not getting it done or comparing ourselves to other because just because Mary Jane, Lucy, whatever, she can get everything done. She has a perfect schedule and she seems fully functioning, folds her clothes right after she takes them out of the dryer and all that. Like, it's okay. Everyone functions differently. So, a bottleneck is a specific point in our brain where the executive function system gets jammed. So a good example of this is you're just driving along like the highway, everything seems good. The next thing you know, you're stuck. There's like an hour of traffic ahead of you. You're moving like 1 mile per hour, and there's nothing you could do about it. You're just stuck right there. So all the energy and ideals are lined up, but the part of our brain that moves things forward is too overwhelmed to do anything. Yeah, someone said I've compared myself to others and felt less than and small for most of my adult life. I know a lot of people can relate to that. And once we like ingrain in ourselves that we are, we can't compare ourselves to anyone else, even if the other person is ADHD and have the same exact diagnosis lineup as you still can't even compare because everyone's experience is different. And it also doesn't help if like caregivers didn't know or didn't give grace because a lot of times we're forced into task and we learn how to mask early on. And the 8 main areas that can become bottlenecks for us is inhibition and self-control. And what this is impulse spending, oversharing, and interrupting. And I know a lot of times we talk about that with ADHD and uh, interrupting, and we're just thinking faster than we're able to speak sometimes, or we're thinking faster than the person who is speaking to us, and we might overshare. And impulse spending, the ADHD tax, all those different things um, definitely happen. And then the next one we have is our working memory. We forget steps, we lose thoughts mid sentence. If I didn't have these slides in front of me, I don't know what I would be talking about right now. We'd be talking about that couple getting divorced on TikTok, like everything else, because I know way too much about pop culture right now than I want to. Flexibility, shutdowns. When the plans change, it's very hard for some people and it's very hard to stick to one idea. Is there anyone who, like, let's say you have plans with a friend, the plans have been set in stone, and then the day of, it's like, actually, instead of going to the mall, can we go to a market and then can we go to the movies? And for some people, it's like, oh, that's like not a big deal. I can just do the next plans. But for others, it's like, that's not what I planned for. I had my things ready to go shopping to the mall and now you want to go to the movies. I wasn't prepared to sit down or I wasn't prepared to eat popcorn today. It could be like something that might sound so illogical to someone else, but to us, like it makes complete sense. Yes, I see someone said, nah, my brain was set and acclimated for the original plans. I never thought I was a stickler for a plan, but as I got older, I find myself not wanting to be out or go out anymore if it changes. Yes. Yeah, I can relate. And my joke lately has been is like I'm either at work, in my house, or out of the country, but just generally like going out for no reason. I really struggle with that now and it'll be a few days. Like I got back from my cruise on Wednesday and I realized I did not leave my house again until Sunday, and that was because I had to go to work. And if I do go out or do something, I'm like, oh, this is nice. I should go out more, fresh air. Oh my God, I needed more oxygen. And I'll completely forget that I like outside because when I'm home, I'm comfortable. I like it here. So another one we experience is planning and prioritizing. And this is like we don't know where to start and we underestimate how long something will take. Yes. So you might think like, oh, I'm gonna put this out like this could get done in 20 minutes. No big deal. And it actually takes you 2 hours. And that feels horrible if there's someone else waiting for you or someone else involved, or if you're an entrepreneur girly and you're like, oh, I can get this done for this client in this amount of time, and then that time passes and it's not done, and you're like, oh, shit, like I really meant to get this done. um and it feels worse when it impacts others. Sometimes when it just impacts ourselves, it's like, there's no consequence, it's just me. But then when we have other people in it, it really feels a lot harder. And that's why they say sometimes with like ADHD, if you feel like you have company coming over, then it's a lot easier to clean your house because it's like you don't want them to see a mess compared to if you're like, oh, I just need to get this done because I need to get it done. Um, so the next one we'll discuss is task initiation. And this is starting the list of tasks. And is anyone else here a to-do lister? I typically make big to-do lists for everything. Let me see. And I even have my book, if anyone got our Crown and Conquer journal. I like make my list and everything in here. I even decorated my inner cover. But I'm big on making lists because we get a dopamine hit when we get to cross things off the list. But sometimes if we have that big list in front of us, we don't know where to start. And sometimes we just have to start at the thing that is going to take the least amount of time. But we'll talk about that. Yes, you did hear a list. So the other one is organization. So visual clutter can be overwhelming to the point where you can't even get something done because of the things around you. Even though those things specifically have nothing to do with the task you need to get done, you just feel closed in. So then it's like, oh, this is too overwhelming, things go missing, and that could affect your executive functioning. And to someone else, that may not make sense, but then that's how you end up like, you're like, oh, I got to do this, I gotta go through emails, but instead I'm gonna clean my whole house because there was something here and you started cleaning that up. Then you go to the next room and you start making the bed, and then you start folding laundry, and then you do 10 other things, and then you're like, oh yeah, I never got to the emails. Time management, chronic lateness, and time blindness. So we talk about this a lot, and I would say this is one of the harder topics because both people feel like the other is being inconsiderate or not being heard. Because if you're the person who's always late and you know that you're not late on purpose and you try to do everything in your power to be on time, and then you're still literally rushing, it feels horrible. And then you have to face the person who may have been there early and they're like, oh, you don't respect my time, you don't care about me, like how dare you show up late. And it's just all the worst things, even though you know you tried to do your best to prevent it. We're going to talk about some solutions though. Make sure I'm catching up on y'all messages. Triggered, yes. I've had attendance problem that, yeah, I definitely had meetings for being late. So in all my previous jobs, like I lived close to my job within the 10-minute drive and I would be late. With my current job as a flight attendant, I know there is a direct, I will not have a job if I'm late because there is direct consequences. If I'm not at the airport where I'm supposed to, when I'm supposed to be, if I'm not there for boarding, they give us two strikes, we're out. Like, unless we call it far enough in advance and we get a replacement and do the things we're supposed to, like, there's literally no grace. So I know that, and that's ingrained in my mind. And I'm like, oh, well, I have a uniform, so I am putting on my uniform. Like, I have it down to a science where I might look homeless going to work, but I'm gonna be there on time because I know, okay, my shoes is right there. I'm gonna put on my uniform out the door. And I make it in time. That's not the ideal way of getting to work, but I know that there's a consequence, so I do my best to not be late. uh, Emotional regulation, rejection sensitive dysphoria. We have our hangout on that next Tuesday. Nia will be leading that. Low tolerance for things, and then shame spirals. So these are all of our bottlenecks, and I know we hit on some big things. So how do you identify your bottleneck? The bottleneck often sits at the intersection of perfectionism and fatigue. So I am very like, if you notice all the flyers and everything that gets released, like it's not simple for me because I'm very like, okay, is this all lined up? Is this all the same font? Okay, the spelling's good, but that color doesn't look good next to that color. So it might seem like, oh, she just put out a simple flyer. But I've probably been looking at that simple flyer for 3 hours because my brain is like, it has to be perfect. When really other people are like, well, just put the information out there. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're not getting paid for this. But I am extremely particular about things. Um, and I know that about myself. I'm not ashamed of it. Sometimes if we know something, we're not ashamed, we're not willing to change, we accept that that's us, then that's something we could be honest about. And it's benefited me a lot as well because I care about things. I care about how I'm putting things out into the world. But sometimes I do have to be like, okay, it's okay to do it later. So yeah, we've been conditioned to keep performing even when our resources are gone, especially as Black women. So do you guys see the huge thing of soft life and us wanting to take breaks, us wanting to rest and not wanting to be the strong friend, not wanting to be overworked and underappreciated, like really taking time to not live in this space where we feel like we always have to do the most. And it's easier said than done because we've literally been taught that you keep pushing. We've seen maybe our caregivers, our parents, our grandparents, like, oh, they're working 2 jobs, they're taking care of us. They come from a 10 hour shift, they come back, they're making dinner, they're tired, like, but you still have to do it. So when it comes to that, but also being neurodivergent, sometimes we can't just do it. Like, we're not Nike. Sometimes we cannot push ourselves to failure. And when that happens, we experience burnout. And we don't even realize that we're getting so close to burnout until it happens. So then once we start learning these telltale signs, we can do something about it before it gets that bad because we're not any good to anybody if we're shutting down, if we don't have the spoons, if we can't get out of bed, if it gets that bad, if we get sick. Like I got COVID and I'm sure that was from work. Those people are nasty. But I got COVID, and a big part of that was probably my immune system wasn't where it was supposed to be. I wasn't sleeping enough. I was like hyper focused on all the things that I wanted to get done here before the new year, and I burned myself out. So we're not gonna always get it perfect every time, but it's like, okay, I see what I could have done differently. Let me do better moving forward. So yeah, so when our executive functions start lagging, we don't see it as overload, we see ourselves as failing, and that is not true. You are not failing. Let me catch up on the comments. So my hack to releasing imperfection was to do a bad or mediocre job, knowing there's always somebody excited to correct my mistakes. It ends up being a job they took over responsibility for, and therefore it was off my plate. That's funny. I've never heard that one before. And it's funny because we would rather do a bad job than to just ask for help in the beginning. I'm trying to practice imperfection on little things. Yes. Biting my nose at the thought of releasing my brain. Yes, yes, yes. And also, like, if anyone wants to chime in, feel free to raise your hand and things like that. It really is a conversation. It's just having all the excitement, sharing the educational piece of this. So I hope it's helpful. So yeah, ask yourself what part feels impossible for you. Is it starting, deciding what you're doing, or finishing the task? You can put it in the chat or raise hands. What do you find to be most difficult? Kanisha?
Oh snap. Okay, my apologies. Okay,
Okay.
I was originally wanting to expand on the prototyping that I put in there, but your question was, what do we find most difficult, right?
Yeah, starting a task, deciding what you're actually doing, or completing a task.
I think deciding. Um, and for me, I use a framework. I learned a framework a long time ago called Foresight, and
Mm-hmm.
it's people's work style preferences based on ideation, clarifying, developing, and implementation.
Mm-hmm.
So I've learned that I'm a great ideator and clarifier, so I can get stuck in analysis paralysis, and I can have the big ideas,
Mm-hmm.
and I can also implement or execute. But that development part was really difficult for me. So usually when I'm leading projects or leading strategies or something, I usually find someone that has that kind of brain that can help develop something. So if I'm looking for a project manager or somebody along those lines, they can help me think through the ugliness of getting a thing done.
Yeah, that's definitely
Mm-hmm.
relatable. And I've seen some comments. Yeah. And then if anyone else wants to share, if you magically had help, like no strings attached, and someone could swoop in and help you with your executive functioning, what would you want them to do? Your laundry, make you food for the week, clear out your email, all those things for me. So basically figuring out where your struggles are is what helps you figure out which area is your bottleneck. So once you find that, you're able to work with it, and then you can pair task initiation issues with body doubling. As many of you know, we body double in here a lot, or time management issues by using external timers. I always tell Alexa, I can't say her name, um, to set a timer for a specific amount of time. And it's like I do small increments, even though like I know I'm not going to finish in the small increment. It keeps me tailored to the time because if I say, okay, 5 minutes for this, but I know I have 30 minutes to do it, I'll probably keep setting that 5 minutes rather than doing the whole 30 because if I pick up my phone or if I get distracted with something else, then the 30 minutes will go off and I didn't get anything done. So the goal isn't necessarily like fix this or expect to be perfect, but finding ways to support ourselves so that we can give ourselves more grace and then figure out how to get these things done. Um, And this just goes into a little bit more detail of the bottlenecks we talked about. Task paralysis is the overwhelming inability to start a task despite knowing we need to and then having the capacity. We also feel stuck or frozen. For instance, like I was sitting, all right, so I got off work at like 6 p.m. I knew I wanted to go to the grocery store. Aldi closed at 8 o'clock and Giant closed at 10 o'clock. Those are two grocery stores here. I ended up sitting in my car and then it was almost 8 o'clock. So I was like, oh, well, I guess I'm not going to Aldi. Let me go to Giant. So I drive over to Giant and then I'm still in my car until like 9 o'clock. And I'm like, Khalid, you cannot miss two grocery stores. So I ended up going in Giant at like 9:10, 9:15. Got in the grocery store. I didn't even have a plan. I just knew that I needed to buy food. So I'm just perusing the aisles and the speaker comes up and it's like, we'll be closing in 15 minutes. Then all of a sudden I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna make some Alfredo. So then I get all the stuff that I need and I leave the store. So that let's say I'd gone like right when I got out of work at 6, I probably would have been done by 7, home by like 7:15, 7:20 because it's close. And then I would have had those few hours. But what am I gonna beat myself up about that for? I didn't miss anything. I don't got no kids here to feed. Like it's fine. If I do something later, it's just me and I'll give myself that grace. But it's different when it's something like today where I'm like, okay, I know I have the hangout at 8 o'clock. People are going to show up and they're expecting me to be on time. Then it's a different mental strategy that kicks in and getting it done. So yeah, perfectionism as paralysis. Being twice as good raises the stakes so high that the brain picks freeze over imperfection. And we were just talking about this. I see the messages in the chat. Um, yeah, so a quick strategy for this is entry point only. Open the document, put on the shoes, set small timers, reduce the steps. So if a big step sounds like too much, then just break it down, like break it down a ridiculous amount. So it's like, okay, I know I want to go down to the gym. So then I'm like, okay, put on your workout clothes, then put on your shoes. Shoes are on. Okay, grab your water and the things you need for the gym. Check, check, check. All right, head out the door. Boom. Now I'm on my way to the gym rather than just, okay, go to the gym. So it might seem like silly to break something down that much, but sometimes that's literally what we need. Time blindness. So this is difficulty estimating how long something will take. And we did talk about this with the bottlenecks. Again, timers, super effective. Sometimes people even put on a YouTube or they join the body double. Emotional dysregulation. This is difficulty managing the intensity, duration, and frequency of our emotional responses. Has anyone ever had like really heavy emotions about something that logically you're like, this really is not the end of the world? Like, it's not a big deal. I can get over this. But your emotions, like, yeah, yeah, I hear you, but I'm gonna feel how I feel until I get over it. And that'll happen because we literally like know. Makia, I see the hand up.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
honestly that those emotions you were just talking about literally just happened to me this week. Like my daycare provider, I was running late because I
Mhm.
swear I thought I had enough time. And she was like, "You're gonna need to start getting here by 5 o'clock." I literally spiraled for the rest of the night and cried all night because I felt like a failure. I was late picking up my child. My child thought I was late. It was a whole hot mess.
Yeah,
It took like several conversations with several people to calm me down.
yes. And it's really difficult. And even like when we're talking to people, like we hear when we're talking about it, how like we know how we should respond and like that it shouldn't make us that upset, but sometimes it still does. And it's okay to express that and not shame ourselves about it. So another thing that happens is like we're masking exhaustion. And so we're holding it together in public, which drains our spoons and our resources. Emotions erupt at home when regulation is depleted. So that thing that seemed so small that we felt extremely dysregulated over may have been like the straw that broke the camel's back. So it may have been a buildup of masking all week of like dealing with these micro things, maybe stress at work. So then that small thing is the thing that releases all those emotions. So that's something to consider as well. So the thing is, name it to tame it. I feel frustrated. I feel shame. I feel overwhelmed. And then maybe if you can meditate or if you can listen to your favorite songs or something that like calms you or doing some breathing exercises, and it seems it's easier said than done, but if we keep doing it, our body will learn like, oh, okay, I can relax. This is the things that triggers relaxing. Okay, I'm breathing. I'm gonna maybe I'm gonna drink some tea or hot chocolate, and we have to start ingraining like those things to train our body and our brain and our emotions that we're safe, we're okay, we're not in trouble because we're adults. And I don't know if anyone else, like at your big age, you feel like you can get in trouble for something. And I'm like, who's gonna punish me? Who's gonna whip me? Like, I'm the adult. And I have to remind myself I'm the grown up here. It's okay. So sometimes we just have to do those things. And a big part of it is reparenting ourselves, and giving us the gentleness that we may not have had um growing up. So someone said my win for today, where I would have normally become unhinged in a meeting. They given us too much to do on unrealistic time. I regulated and carried on. Yay! If we all had the audio on, it would be a group. Yay! Because we like wins. Bella said, I am a lot better now, but I used to keep a small notebook and I just write out what I was feeling and then an affirmation. Literally, that would be better than me flipping out. Yeah, because sometimes we flip out, especially on those who don't deserve it. Um, and that doesn't feel good. Like for me, I don't like cussing people out. I don't like being mean to people. Like it just doesn't feel good. So when I'm like, oh, like this is a space where people peaceful, we support each other, like that's literally me at my core because treating people bad, especially when it's not even their fault. Because sometimes people will blame like the whole world because they're upset. And the people don't even know what's wrong. They don't know anything. And so like why are you gonna take it out of on anybody else? And even if it is someone's fault, a lot of times they're not even worth it. They don't even deserve the satisfaction of bringing you out your character. So that's something else that I consider like I'm in control of me. Someone said it's so hard. Teaching is overstimulating to me on all levels. I've started keeping my AirPods in. Yes. Yeah, the noise cancellation. That is real. Something else that we experience, and again, we will be talking about this next week. Is Nia in here? Because I didn't see her name. I don't think Nia made it tonight. But yeah, Nia will be teaching the hangout on rejection sensitivity. And what this is intense, sometimes painful reactions to perceived criticism, correction, or failure. Um, And then this also pairs with the shame spiral, which is a missed deadline, which triggers hours or days of rumination, thinking about what we could have done differently, how we could have started sooner, or whatever the case is. And then that blocks initiation on other tasks. So it's like an endless loop. Something that we can do about this is distinguish our facts from our feelings because our brain lies to us all the time. Our emotions are not logical things. So we literally have to process like what's real or what happened, what's in our control, what's not in our control. And sometimes we have to apologize. We have to talk to other people. Sometimes we got to make phone calls, even though we don't want to. And we have to take the accountability and a lot of times taking accountability when it actually is our fault, not accountability when it's not our fault. Because sometimes we over apologize and take on things that literally have nothing to do with us. So that's a whole different thing. But in these situations where we know that we dropped the ball, it's okay to apologize and um do the things that will help us get back centered and move forward. Because holding on to that stuff really is just gonna keep setting us back. Um and rejection sensitivity a lot of times like um an example would be the body double we have a bell that rings like when someone comes in or leave just so like we're aware people joined and things like that um outside we don't do that here because then it would be chiming the whole meeting but during regular body double because it's usually only maybe 5 or 6 people on at a time we want to know someone arrived but if someone leaves abruptly and we're like in the middle of the conversation it's like oh my gosh, is it something I said? Did something happen? Then they'll come back and be like, oh, I just lost internet. Oh, my mom called, like something literally unrelated. But it's just funny how our brain automatically wants to accept guilt over like things that aren't even related. So that's why it's okay to take a pause and move forward. Um, ADHD tax. I don't even think this is related to this, but it's always good to talk about. The financial, emotional, and social costs of our related patterns and our executive dysfunction can sometimes cost us money because we're doing the thing late. We know we had to get on and cancel that subscription, but we didn't do it. So then we have to pay for it. Um, Systematic costs, late fees, replacing lost items, career stalls from unreliability, compounded by systematic inequities. A quick strategy for this is auto paying things, creating a launch pad, and using virtual trackers. Auto pay can be either the best thing or the worst thing ever. For me, it's a mixture because I like not having to think about things. But when it comes to auto pay for things I really need to cancel, but my brain's like, oh yeah, I'll do it next month. And it's like $10, $15, $5, $7, whatever. And it don't seem like a lot, but then you add all those up and you have like 50, $60 going to something you're not even using. And then I remember I was canceling my Planet Fitness membership, and they wouldn't let me do it because I relocated. And it was like, you have to send a letter. First of all, who sends letters anymore? I hate going to the post office and like labeling something, writing the address out. And it's something I know how to do, but it's like just all those steps. So eventually I did it, but I definitely would say I spent like a good $100, which is about 5, 6 months, not at somewhere I'm not even able to go. So yeah, it can cost us money sometimes. This is why we want to do better. Masking. We talk about this a lot. Suppressing our neurodivergent traits to appear acceptable or high functioning. Let me catch up with y'all. Crunch Fitness does that. I lied and said it was something terrible, and with the crying was so real, they let me cancel. Hey, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. I mean, you weren't cussing them out, you just let out some emotions. Yep. Um, Cognitive drain. Energy spent masking is brought from our working memory, inhibition, and regulation, and this is what leads us to crash later. So, a quick strategy for this is pick one space, whether it's here, any of our chats, at your house, that you can unmask, where you don't have to think, where you could be your normal like level of weird, where you can just talk about things that are unrelated and literally just like let it out. Um, and it feels good. Like it gives us more spoons, more energies, and we don't feel like we have to perform or be perfect. And it helps with regulating. Do you all have spaces, like whether it's in the group, outside the group, with friends, where you feel like you can like 100% unmask and just exist? Oh, oh, be safe, Ellie. Wow. Home and my best friend. I love that, Bella. Everyone else saying no. Yeah. Yeah, definitely be safe, Elle. And to everyone saying no, the group is definitely that. Feel free to come in the body double anytime. No one here is judging you, even if you don't have anything to do. Sometimes people just come in like, oh, I wanted to check out the space, or they come in and they just want to yap. And if I'm around, I'll yap. And it's just something that recharges and it feels good because no one like it doesn't matter what the topic is, you could just come in. Maybe you don't want to say anything, you just want to feel the company. Virtual company is a thing now just because um a lot of times we're online, like that's our reality, that a lot of things that we experience are virtual. So when you're virtually, even us all in this space, like we're not all camera on and talk, but I'm reading it, like I feel everyone's presence. And yeah, I'm doing like the work here and presenting, but I feel happy. Like I feel recharged. I feel like I don't feel like this is draining my spoons because you all are engaging. And I'm looking at the chat and I just, it feels good. So we notice the difference, even though we're not here in person together. And that's literally like what it's like on the body double as well. Not it was someone at the door. They must have been knocking hard. Yeah. And I got smart because now I have two devices so I can see both things going on. So interoception challenges. Interoception is difficulty sensing internal signals like hunger, thirst, fatigue, pain, and stress. So a lot of times when we're like, oh, did I go to the bathroom or did I drink water today? Or oh shit, it's midnight. I didn't eat anything today. That's because of our interoception struggles with not getting those cues that a neurotypical person may get. Yep, someone said I used to use my former attachment ship to unmask with. Yep. So And context here, like the wall of shutdown, when we push past our limits until our nervous system forces a full stop, like you realize you didn't eat, and the next thing you know, you got stomach cramps, you got a headache, like you're not drinking enough water, you have a migraine, your throat is dry, you're not feeling well, you're like, oh, all I had to do was drink a bottle of water and I could have prevented this. And we don't even think about it. So even those things, you might have to remind yourself, like, oh yeah, I want to finish 3 bottles of water today. Or set, like my watch would tell me, like, oh, stand up. And I could do one where it's like, oh, have you drank water? Reminder to drink your water type thing. And stacking like a lot of those tasks. Also, a lot of this relates to we did a goal setting hangout at the beginning of the year or the end of December. Yeah, it was the end of December, and a lot of that fits into what combating executive dysfunction. And you can find it on the page. And goal setting is like a huge thing because there's so many different ways to go about it. Body doubling. I need some water. And this is a big bottle. This is 50 ounces. It's 1.5 liters. And I feel good about this because I know this is close to my daily value if I finish this. And I don't have to keep getting different bottles or cups or something. Um, so body doubling is when we're doing a task in the presence of someone else. So even if you're on this hangout right now, but you're actively doing something else, getting something done, maybe you're folding clothes, you're doing dishes, you're getting ready for the next day, that's body doubling. This bypasses issues with initiation, because the presence swaps shame for structure and it gives us momentum to get things done. A strategy for this is, yeah, using our body double. The same way you got in this hangout is the same way you get in to buy our body doubling Zoom. Uh, Post your goals, let us know what you're there for, and we hold each other accountable. Microdosing, breaking tasks into these smaller steps. I discussed this a bit. And this creates momentum. One dish in the sink, one email sent, one drawer sorted out. Um, one motion leads to the next motion, to the next motion, to the next motion. So these, if you could find your reaction buttons, we'll just do some of these real quick. Reactive, you stared at your phone, knowing you had other things to do, but you couldn't move. Maybe you ended up scrolling for like an hour or more. Let's see. Yep, I see the reactions. Reactive, you've done a deep clean instead of starting the task you were supposed to be doing. You did anything but the task at hand. Yes. Reactive, you said, I'll just rest first, and then next thing you know, it's tomorrow, and you didn't even start what you were supposed to. React if you realize that you struggle with transitions. For example, when I gave the story about me sitting in the car before going in the grocery store, that's a transition because I was going from work to doing something else. And that time passes, and it's like, wait a minute, I don't want to do the next thing. If you set multiple alarms and still miss what you were supposed to be doing, that is an executive dysfunction example. If you felt shame and shame made you hide overwhelm instead of asking for help because you feel like it's something you don't need help with or you shouldn't have to ask because it feels simple, because we put these things in our mind where we're like, but it's so easy, it's not going to take that long, I don't know why I can't do this, shouldn't need help with this, and we shame ourselves into not getting help. um React if you replay awkward moments for days like they just happened. You ruminate on the most random things that should not even be stuck in your brain, and it just impacts you because you're like, why would I do that? Or why did that happen? Or whatever the case is, but it loops. I saw a lot of reactions. See, nobody's alone. Like we go through the things together. And you guys hear me talk about spoons a lot. So if you're not familiar with spoon theories, it is a metaphor for how much energy we have to get something done. So Christine Misseradino, she explains how people with chronic illnesses or neurodivergence manage limited energy. So each spoon represents a unit of energy. Every activity from getting dressed to responding to texts costs spoons, no matter how simple it seems. Like, I don't know, lately, I would say the last 2, 3 months, holding conversations outside of the group have felt like a chore. Like in the group, we're chatting, like I'm posting stuff. It's things that I'm interested in, but if I can't carry conversations anymore, like with general conversation, text, like I really struggle. Like it takes the spoons out of me. So when you run out of spoons, you don't have willpower left to push through. You're simply out of capacity. So even if you don't have a chronic illness, ADHD, autism, or other forms of neurodivergence, they make energy. Other forms of neurodivergence makes energy regulation harder. So things that seem small to others, like noise, transitions, socializing, making decisions, it still drains us. It still costs a spoon. And that's why the spoons be missing. So this is like a category. So based on your own life, these charts might look different. Like for someone, work might take up a bunch of spoons. For other people, social interaction might be all the way up, or family care, whether you have kids or not. But if you do a lot with or for your family, that takes spoons every single day. So this is something to be really mindful of. So when you overdraw spoons too many days in a row, this is when you get burnout. And it's like I can't do anything, not even the things I want to do and the things that I love. It's hard. And you know it's real when you can't even do the things that you're like, this is so dope. I really want to go get ice cream, but I can't even leave my house. Someone said today I ran out of spoons by the end of the school day. Is there a spoony NDW chat? The body doubling chat is big for spoons. Just talking about capacity, things we need to get done, or even like the venting chat. In general, I think we talk about spoons enough in the group that everyone that we is coded. Like we're like, oh, I don't have the spoons, and now you know we get it. Um, Many of us were never taught to count our spoons. We were taught to push through, but when your body says no, that's data. It's not you being defiant. It's literally your body saying no. So don't feel like you're lazy. Don't feel like you're not doing what you're supposed to do. Don't beat yourself up because you literally have to rebuild. And the good thing about that is when we're doing things to relax, it restores our spoon stimming, dancing, making our noises. My recent vocal stem has been my name is Bobby. I like to party from King of the Hill or ball nigga, ball nigga, ball nigga, ball nigga. That's been stuck in my head. Um that song from the Reels. So sometimes you just gotta let it out and that will refuel you. Katrina, I see your hand up.
I guess since when you said that with the that you have your little songs and chants that you do, I guess my new way is I've been doing AI photography. That's been my way of kind of once I reach my limit, like, oh, let me go do this
Yep.
to kind of reset.
Yeah, you gotta
I
find your
learned
thing.
something.
I think we're almost there. So this is how we use it. We track our spoons. And of course, it's like not a tangible thing, but we know what drains us versus what restores us. Plan our day by energy, not just time. Maybe do the hardest thing after a recharge, so then you have easier things to do later. Build in buffers, recovery blocks, whether it's that stimming, listening to your favorite songs, all those activities will help you recover throughout the day. And building blocks between emotionally heavy or overstimulating tasks. So spoons and bottleneck, how it all comes together. I hope you all are still with me. I know it's a lot of information. So how they connect. Your bottleneck shows you where your brain is struggling to manage the load. Spoon theory shows how much energy you have left to even do those things. So if your bottleneck is task initiation, but your spoon count is 0, it doesn't matter. Nothing's going to work because you don't have the energy to get it done. You have no resources. It is not a lack of discipline. It's not a lack of motivation. It's the fact that your body needs rest before you can do anything else. So that's the only thing that you can't do. You can't take from an empty cup. So we have to refill our cups without feeling bad about it. You cannot give what you don't have. And this is economic impact also relates to this, like the weight versus the things that cost us when we're showing up. And this also relates to the ADHD tax that we were discussing. So like when we're losing productivity, that is a big thing because that might impact us at work, that impacts us at home, that impacts our health. We might get more late fees because if you have a job where you're paid by the hour, if you don't work, you don't get paid. So that's a huge thing, job turnover. And even if you are on salary, like the demand is there because you have to meet those deadlines and you have to manage your time well. So if anyone cares to know the actual brain terms for this, our prefrontal cortex is what's responsible for planning, prioritizing, and holding the steps. The ADHD involves difference in dopamine signaling and arousal, which is interest-based attention. And framing would be our brain is the pilot and executive functioning is the control tower. That's definitely a flight attendant example. And preventing this spiral and how it looks. We struggle to start. We feel bad because we didn't start. We avoid, and when we're avoiding, we're probably doom scrolling, watching shows, doing everything but the task, which leads to even more delay. And then that causes more shame. And then we shut down, and it just keep going around and around until we realize one, we don't have to shame ourselves. We just need to recharge and we can move forward. And neuroaffirming strategies, working with our brains, not against it, and accommodations are not cheating. So if you have medication, if you have ADHD, if you need to take some vitamin B12, if you need supplements, if you whatever you need that helps you, or if you need to ask for help, like don't beat yourself up for that. And I'm even talking to myself because I probably only remember to take my Adderall like 3 times a week. And the days that I take it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. I should do this more. And then I forget again. And I know, like, okay, well, if I pair taking my medication with brushing my teeth, I brush my teeth every single day, twice a day actually, that I'm going to take my medication every day because I'm habit stacking. So when we externalize our brain, like we use checklists, our journals, whiteboards, alarms, smart calendars, all those things are helpful. Body doubling and microdosing, doing those small bursts of activity. And for the next 5 minutes, I'm gonna do this, or the next 15 minutes, I'm gonna get this done. And then you're fighting against the time, but it works. So yeah. If it takes less than 5 minutes, get it done. Entry point only, open the file, put the shoes on, do the things, lower the stakes. I only owe 60 seconds of effort. Like anything that you can get your brain into thinking like, oh, this is nothing. I got this. It will help you. Energizing, building up those spoons, y'all. Katrina, was your hand up freshly or was that from before? I thought I just
It,
saw it.
it was from before when you were
Oh, okay, I
you
got you.
talking about the medicine, because I sometimes would forget to take mine. So I bought a pill case. This a circle one, and I just sit it right on my nightstand with my water. So as soon as I get up, I can remember to take, and I leave the top open for the day that I've already taken. So I'll see it there because I sometimes forget. And I noticed that I was on Adderall and now I'm on Concerta and I feel a lot different. I
Mm.
feel like I'm able to, my tasks are getting better with me starting something. Now I may not finish it all the time, but I pat myself on the back because I started it.
Oh yeah.
I, so
I
that's what I do for mine because I had it in a bag and I'm like, wait, did I take this in the bag?
Yep.
So I went right to the Dollar Tree and got a little circle one.
Oh, that's definitely helpful. I see someone said, I'm all for habit stacking until the primary habit breaks. So you have to stack it into something that's not gonna break. So that's why I was like showering, brushing your teeth, um, literally getting out of bed or going to the bathroom, like something that regardless of if you want to or not, like you literally have to do that thing. Start, that's where you start the stack at the inevitable thing that literally has to happen, and something that's already part of your daily life. If you leave your house every day, you could be like, oh, when I get in the car, this is what I'm gonna do, or whatever your daily life is like. You have to anchor. The anchor thing has to be something that's going to happen every day, regardless, whether you stay in the house, whether you go out. Like it's that consistent behavior, and then that's where you build from. If you struggle with like time management, make sure you have those buffers in. I don't like being the late one, even though I know I struggle with time blindness. I always, if I gotta be there at 8, I tell myself I gotta be there at 7. And my brain believes it enough for me to at least get out the house by 7:30. So it's like I'm aware that the time is actually later and I lied to myself, but it still works if I keep thinking about the earlier time. Um, yeah. So having that system. And I think this is our last slide. So, which executive function has been your biggest struggle? Or if you want to answer, what emotion sits behind the task you're avoiding? Or you can name a tool that already helps you. Someone said, resentment is often sitting behind the task I avoid. All my clocks are set ahead. Yes, my vehicle clock is like 15 minutes ahead. Yep. Elle said all hers are 20 minutes ahead. Yeah, resentment is a huge one, and that's like a big feeling because that leads to rumination and it keeps us in that spiral. Keeping things out where they're visible because sometimes it's out of sight, out of mind. Shauna, I see where you said fear. You want to elaborate on that? I can understand it, but I just want to see where your mind goes with the fear. Like what are you afraid of?
So my fear is like I own a bakery.
Yeah.
My fear is that in our community we don't have what other communities have necessarily as far as like growing up looking at businesses that were actually structured correctly. Um, we have people that did hobbies and hustles, but when it comes to LLC, S Corp, C Corp, running payroll properly,
Mm,
taking draws and paying yourself, that's a that is not something that was readily available. And when we are paired, like when I outsource to different organizations like SCORE,
mm,
they don't always pair you with the best or the most capable. And I don't know, sometimes it's people's personal biases.
yeah.
You know, being neurodivergent, there's certain things that paralysis that I have, it's it's being neuro, but it's also the fear of success. It's
Mm,
the fear of reaching that glass ceiling and breaking it and not knowing what is on the other side, how to handle it properly. And I'm um, very pro black. So I want like a black accountant. I want a black business manager because there are certain struggles being a black business owner that nobody else can understand.
mm,
Um, so that fear of just not knowing, that fear of not having that system and that circle, and
yeah.
it's so hard to find that circle of reliable, dependable, professional people. So
Mm.
it's just like an overall fear.
That's definitely understandable. And when you said that fear of success, so I was reading this, I don't know if it's an article or a quote, but it was like people who are afraid of failure, they literally do everything to avoid failing. They're
Mhm.
up at 6, they're in bed, like they're just literally doing everything. Someone who's afraid of success will literally be stagnant because it's scary. Like you freeze. And I thought that was an interesting perspective because I was like, I don't think I've been afraid of failure. But when I took it from that perspective, I'm like, that could explain why I get stuck because even like
Mhm.
with the group growing, it's like, oh my God, we made a goal and like people are showing up to the hangouts and they're doing this. And it's like, okay, well, what's next? Oh, we have our merch line, we have the website. Oh, I can
Mhm.
quit my job and just do this. I love this. Okay, what does that look like? How does it get
Mhm.
into the next steps? And it is scary, but like when your heart is in it, you can bypass that fear because you know that you're in your calling and you're doing what you're supposed to do. And whatever is on that other side isn't going to stop you. So it's worth continuing to shoot for that and be afraid, but do it anyways. And then speaking of Black business, Ivana is our tax pro for this tax season. She has a breakout room office in here, and anyone who's interested, she'll be leading 4 tax sessions, giving us the breakdown because there's so many different things with the IRS this year. And I know one of the biggest things that we procrastinate on is taxes.
Mhm.
Taxes is huge. So she's going to be giving us all the tools. She is amazing. Um, we've had quite a few meetings at this point asking all the questions because I was afraid of taxes. I did not ever file taxes until I was like 25, like terrified of taxes for whatever reason. But then when I actually got like my first salary job, I had to file taxes. But she's made the process like super easy. I'm super excited for everything that she's going to be showing and teaching us. So that's going to be the next 4 Mondays at 5 p.m. Central, so 6 p.m. Eastern. So make sure y'all tap in. And then if you do your taxes with her, we're working on something to connect that. So like maybe someone could get like a free vacation since I do all the trips and stuff. But yeah, that's super exciting. I think that was our last slide for this, showing this. But thank you all. I'm about to end the recording, but I'm not ending the meeting. Just gonna turn off the recording. How do I go to another screen? So then we could just chit chat. There it is. Stop recording.